Good evening. To kick off this discussion of why Western civilization is relevant to today, we'll look at Lawrence Birkin's article first, What is Western Civilization?, published in the History Teacher. He brings up the idea that the importance of Western civilization in today's world is up for debate. He talks about how the traditional Western civilization course has become a hot button issue because some conservative groups are pushing for cultural uniformity and others are pushing for cultural diversity. Birkin also discusses the challenges in defining the time and place of Western civilization, cautioning against the over-association of the West with all things civilized, which then can lead to division and eventually disintegration. The issue here partly relates back to that of Greece, Rome, the Enlightenment, and the Renaissance, all being considered part of Western culture and ultimately linked to America. Birkin states this is a false narrative. However, I contest this is not necessarily a false narrative, as the overall concepts of direct democracy from Greece, representative governments from Rome, are the foundational ideas for the creation of the American system of government. He points out that the concept of Western civilization has sparked resistance from various groups who reject the dominant values based on gender, ethnicity, and race. This is a fair statement in that what is considered Western culture and Western civilization look like they may be different things. Through language development, record keeping, specialized jobs, complex institutions, advanced technology, and advanced cities, civilization is built on thousands of years of progression in history. Culture, however, is defined differently, as stated by Lilia Sakeva et al. In their journal article, Culture and Civilization, Functional and Methodological Aspects. Here it is defined that civilization is a growth out of culture, that culture comes first. Culture is defined as a creation of the individual person, and then civilization is born from this and gathers and preserves that culture for everybody. With this as the premise of our understandings of how culture and civilization interact, we can then address the question fully of why the concept of Western civilization is relevant to today. In a separate article, What Exactly is the West by Bradley Berzer, he addresses the challenges in defining what constitutes the West. He discusses the criticism of Western heritage as being, again, racist, sexist, and imperialist, especially in the context of the politically correct movements that based in the 1980s. He delves into the historical and the philosophical aspects of Western tradition, highlighting its roots in classical culture, Greece and Rome again, and Christianity. Looking back to the history of the term the West itself, the concept of the West, historically associated with the Blessed Isles or the home of the gods, right? And influenced various aspects of culture and religion. The West was also not always synonymous with Europe. The term Europe emerged later to distinguish it from other geographical regions, to give it a place. Therefore, the West, as we think and define it today, was not always referred to as such in history, however, has evolved with us as our culture has changed and developed new civilizations around us. Which brings us to universal dignity. The Western tradition is notable for promoting the universal dignity of the human person, humanism, right? Which is of great relevance today as we see atrocities abroad. It argues that the West's unique contribution lies in the development of philosophy, which allowed for a deeper understanding of human universality. The idea of logos, meaning inspiration, word, thought, imagination, played a significant role in this development. There's a great significance in promoting the dignity of the human person and the concept of freedom. It underscores the importance of understanding and appreciating the Western tradition, culture, and ultimately civilization as its relevance today. As stated by Robert Royal in his journal article, Who put the West in Western civilization? And we're going to end on this. Despite the shortcomings and atrocities that Western civilization has produced, and we know there are many, there is no better champion for fairness, justice, truth, and human flourishing than exists in the entity we know as Western civilization, and that the weakening or demise of such an institution would pose a threat to human virtues and is our best hope for a humane world. Thank you for listening.